Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Karlfeldt. So today I want to talk a little bit about blood sugar regulation and why is that so important? It's because blood sugar, we live or die without blood sugar. If our cells don't get sugar, our metabolism shuts down, our mitochondria, energy production shuts down, and we die. So sugar, blood sugar regulation is a life and death thing, and that is one of the most protected mechanisms in the body because it is so crucial. So when that starts to show up in blood tests, that means that it's really gone far because the body it rubs Peter to pay Paul kind of thing, in order to make sure that the blood sugar is regulated and that it stays level, throughout, the whole day, because it is that important. I mean, like for instance, your brain. I mean, your brain, just you sitting there, a third of all your energy production is done in your brain. And so when your blood sugar fluctuates and you're not in, and it's not functioning appropriately, you get depression, you get anxiety. I mean, your mood goes along with blood sugar. So if you don't have energy to feed your brain, you can't concentrate. Your mood is not stable, and you're having a tough time. And also your sleep. If your blood sugar dips while you're sleeping, that's why you're waking up so many times, because your adrenals have to kick in, because it goes into that survival mode and thinking, hey, I don't have enough sugar to last me through the night. So you get a rush of adrenal stress hormones, to bring the sugar up in the bloodstream, and then you wake up. So it is that important to make sure that your blood sugar is regulated. And looking at something like diabetes, which is when it's gone far, where we have, in the blood sugar regulation, diabetes is actually the model for, what happens to the body. It's like the model of premature aging, because it increases inflammation along the blood vessels, which leads to cardiovascular disease. It impacts in the energy to your nerves, so you get neuropathy. It kind of clogs up tissue, so all that the sugar creates kind of cross. I would say that the protein get cross-linked. So instead of having functional, proteins that are linked in a healthy fashion, you get cross-linked, you get dysfunctional, and the muscles, like the heart muscle, the muscles along the blood vessels, the within the kidneys, all of these tissues, they become what's called glycinated. It's like, sugar that you brown, and it gets that sticky hard substance, and that's what happens within the tissue. So that's why it's so important for you to be able to regulate your blood sugar. And obviously, we eat so much more sugar now than we used to. And so, step number one, control what goes into your mouth. Think of, how much sugar does this have? And I'm not talking about then, well, I'm going to do then these, artificial sweeteners, because those are poisons as well. They poison your liver, they poison your pancreas, they poison your tissues, your nervous system, your brain. So that is not where you want to go. You want to reduce the amount of sugar that you're eating, and food that turn into sugar quickly, like white flour, obviously white sugar. So anything that just kind of bounces, you eat it has a high glycemic index, and it just bounces into the bloodstream, elevates the blood sugar, and the body then has to, hey, what are we going to do? All this sugar, what are we going to do with it? And so then your insulin is increased, and then it's try to shuttle all that sugar into storage mode. You gain weight, and then also you have all that kind of inflammatory signaling that takes place because you have all that sugar, because it's very acidic, very irritating, and so now you're inflamed and irritated. So what can you do to solve this issue? Because this is truly a modern society issue, and is becoming worse and worse, because, blood sugar irregularities, dysfunction, it is linked to cardiovascular, which is our leading cause of death. It is linked to cancer, second leading cause of death. And now we have, like diabetes, stroke, all these different, other causes of death. all related to blood sugar. So it is a foundational component to address. So how do we address it? Well, lifestyle, obviously, what we're eating becomes really, really important. So that is step number one. Step number two is, how can we nutritionally support then these areas, our body, so that we can handle the sugar better and regulate it better. So when we look at the regulation of blood sugar, there are three organs that are kind of like the triad. And we have kind of the pancreas, which is the one that produces insulin that helps to regulate blood sugar. We got the liver, where we store a lot of the sugar, and also works directly with the pancreas in regards to how to regulate what's out there in the bloodstream. And then we got the adrenals. Talk a little bit about the adrenals in regards to while you're sleeping. So the adrenals help to manage then the blood sugar in between meals, and what it does, the hormones it secretes, it tells in the liver, hey, we need to release some of that stored sugar, and then that then gets into the bloodstream. And then we have the pancreas that then controls what's out in the bloodstream, and then also have certain then hormones to kind of refill then the storage within the liver. But obviously, the liver can't store that much, because we weren't supposed to eat this much sugar. So it can't store that much. Your muscles can't store that much. So it gets into your fatty tissue, and then you build up this kind of visceral fat that puts you more at risk for all these different health issues. So if you got that's a sign that it's time to do something. So how do we support then the pancreas, the adrenals, and liver? So these are my three favorite supplements right here. So this is kind of like your triad that you should bring in and support. So we got Drenamine for the adrenals, and we got Liverplex for the liver, and we got Diaplex for the pancreas. So I mean, I would suggest, if you just want to do a little bit of support, then do 1-3 times a day of each one of these. And if you need more support, then do 2-3 times a day of each one of these. So this becomes a powerful program in order to be able to support your pancreatic function, your liver function, your adrenals, which is your total blood sugar regulation. So doing this in addition to dietary changes becomes key. So what are some of the additional things that you can do? Well, the next one I would bring in is this herb called Gymnema. And they've actually seen that over long-term use of Gymnema, it helps to restore the beta cells in the pancreas. And the beta cells are the ones that helps to regulate, produce the insulin to help you then regulate your blood sugar. And, when you are eating wrong and you're continually putting stress on the pancreas, those beta cells get inflamed, and then they start to get destroyed. And now you have less ability to regulate your blood sugar, less ability to produce insulin. Gymnema helps with that. It helps to restore the beta cells in the pancreas. And another amazing thing that it does, which helps a lot for people that have a hard time to get off of sugar, because sugar is like a drug. It's like crack. It's worse than opium. It's worse than cocaine. The receptors in the brain, they get so stimulated by sugar. So to get off of sugar, it's not an easy feat, because it has that strong of an impact on the brain. So Gymnema helps to actually, it blocks the sugar receptors on the tongue, so that you don't get the same kind of stimulation when you eat the sugar, the same kind of reward feeling. So it helps to then kind of gradually allow you then to not have the same craving for sugar. This is my favorite one for anyone trying to get off sugar. 2 of them 3 times a day. So this is dose dependent. The more help you need, the higher dose you take. The less help you need, the less dose you take. So, but if you are needing to restore your blood sugar regulation, you have like an elevated A1C, or your blood sugar is always elevated, I would do this continually at least one twice a day, for like a year or two, to help to restore the function of those beta cells. So this one is fantastic. Another one that I really, really love is this one, Digest Forte. This one is like a workout for the pancreas and for the whole digestive system. Pancreas is part of your digestive system. So the pancreas does a number of things. One, regulates the blood sugar. Two, it digests food. So if you eat garbage, so it produces enzymes to be able to digest your food. So if you eat garbage food that's hard to digest, it's going to put a lot of stress on the pancreas, so it's going to have a harder time then to regulate your blood sugar. So it's kind of like all the energy gets focused on dealing with this hard to digest food, and so now it doesn't have the energy or the resources to then deal with the blood sugar regulation. So what's hard to digest? Well, anytime you eat like fruits, vegetables, berries, when you eat them raw, they have the enzymes within them that they need in order to be able to digest themselves. So anytime you process them or overcook them, then the pancreas has to produce its own enzymes, more of its own enzymes in order to be able to digest that food. And it starts to deplete your body from your enzyme resources, because you need nutrients, you need nutritional substances to produce those enzymes. And if you're continually depleting them by eating garbage food, food that's hard to digest, then it puts stress on the pancreas. So the Digest Forte is kind of like it kind of stimulates the production of these enzymes and kind of brings back the pancreas ability to secrete these enzymes. And it has a lot of the bitters in them are just fantastic for both the pancreas, for the gallbladder, for the liver, for the small intestines, all those digestive aspects, and also the stomach. So the whole digestive process is so much more efficient, and that will then make it easier to regulate the blood sugar. So this one, and then also just bringing in like a digestive enzyme, like the multizyme. So this one I would do like one with each meal. And if you want that little extra support, then suck on it a little bit before you swallow. It's going to be really bitter, but it's amazing what it does for your digestive system. And then multizyme, do 1-3 times a day. And if you feel that you need a little bit more digestive support, you can go up higher to 2 or even 3, 3 with each meal. So these are great to support on the pancreas, to kind of make it easier for the pancreas to do its blood sugar regulating function. And then there are 2 nutrients that the pancreas really need in order to be able to regulate the blood sugar. You have both magnesium and zinc. And magnesium lactate is just a very easy form of magnesium that's easy to utilize, very friendly, and highly absorbable. Even if it isn't at that high of a dose, it is so absorbable so that the body can utilize it very well. And then zinc chelate is a whole food form of zinc, which makes it so much better than actually just, I use the mineral zinc as well, but for a long time use for restorative function, then zinc chelate becomes really, really good in regards to the blood sugar regulation. So this would be, you have the triad, the Drenamine, the Livoplex, and the Diaplex. I would do those. Those are kind of the foundational components, and then bring in Gymnema as a next step. If you eat very nutritionally deficient food and you've been doing that for a long time, bring these in. Those are important. And then you can add like Digestive Forte and Multizyme if you feel you need more kind of digestive support to ease the stress and on the pancreas. So this is a powerful program to help to regulate your blood sugar. And as I mentioned, it is such a vital portion. And just to kind of help, so when you do labs, it is important to understand what should my numbers be. So you have the fasting glucose, you have the fasting insulin, you have your A1C levels. So those are 3 components you want to take a look at. So the A1C, I like it. I actually like it less than 5.2. So I know, people say it's okay, but if you're kind of mid five, I want it below 5.2. That's when you're because you want optimum function. You don't want just kind of, I don't want to compare myself to all the other diabetic people that is normal out there, because that's the kind of ranges that they create. When you do blood tests, is that they bring in a lot of normal Americans, and normal Americans are sick. They deal with diabetes, they deal with heart disease, they deal with all. So bringing them in and then comparing yourself to that group, you don't want to do that. You want to have optimum function. And so 5.2 or below is optimum function, and that's what you want to strive for. And in regards to your fasting glucose, you want to be at mid 85 or below. That is a good number. You don't want to get close to 100. That, especially not in the 120 and so forth. So 85, around 85 is a good number. And then with fasting insulin, you want to be below 5. Because the reason for that is that if you have a harder time to drive sugar into the cells, you need more insulin. So that actually, if fasting insulin is elevated, that means you're dealing with insulin resistance. You have a hard time to get the sugar into the cells. They're resistant to insulin. So now you need to produce more in order to push that into the cells. So if you're high fasting, fasting insulin means that you're insulin resistant. So we wanted 5 or below is optimum for fasting insulin. So take care of your blood sugar so that your body can take care of you. Thanks so much.